Welcome to All My Life, SPO's brand new podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Emma.
And we are the hosts.
We are.
And we're doing deep dives into lifelong discipleship. And we are here with our good friend, Derek Waldbillig. Derek, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you on the couch. Here we are in, these are SPO Studios, right, Emma?
SPO Studios.
SPO Studios.
Yes.
Did that just happen?
What?
I'm not sure what just happened. We're getting some signals.
I literally itched my nose.
Oh, I thought you're like, you've got a booger, man. So I was taking care of it. I was like, thank you for helping me. I was like, she has got my back.
I would call that out.
That is the sign of a great host, friend, sister. Thank you. You would just call it out.
I would.
You got a booger, dude.
Yeah, I had an awkward experience once where someone didn't call it out, and so now I just committed to always calling it out.
What about in the teeth?
Yeah, you just gotta let people know.
Just
call it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helpful.
Yeah.
It is a grace. It's a mercy.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Well, anyway, thank you for knowing that you'd have my back.
Yes.
Derek, you have been working with SPO for how many years now?
Since 2013, that summer.
Yep.
So
do the math.
This is year 10.
9, 10.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Most of your adult life.
Yeah.
Working with SPO. And you're now the Minnesota Development Officer, meaning you're raising money. We'll get into that in a minute. But you also played football in college.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, I did.
At Bethel.
Bethel University.
So I want to know, I've always wondered, I've never played football. I know it's sort of a surprise. They're like, oh, Ryan, you didn't play football? You look like a football player. That's what happens a lot of times. But I did not play football, much to many people's surprise. What is it like? You were running back.
I was a running back,
okay.
Yes.
Tell me about the worst hit you ever took.
Oh, man, I don't remember it.
Right, because
you were knocked out.
I don't remember. So this is a scrimmage of sorts. So freshmen didn't get a lot of time. Some even sophomores don't get a lot of time during the games on Saturday. So Friday evening, after the walkthroughs that the team takes, the youngsters get to do a little scrimmage versus each other. So I don't actually remember it happening, but the following Monday, I had a coach ask me, "Oh, Derek, I'm just so surprised you got up from that hit on Friday." It's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. He's like, "Oh yeah, you got your bell rung, and you got up and you got over to the sidelines, and then you came back in, and I just had no idea. I didn't think you would do that." And I had no recollection of what he was talking about. But I evidently, trainer didn't see it. I walked right back into the huddle, kept playing.
Wow, the trainer didn't see it.
And do you must not have.
Had the trainer seen it, he would have probably pulled you.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I mean,
but do you remember other parts of that scrimmage past that?
No.
Like,
no. I mean,
how much time did you lose?
I remember it happening, and I think I remember like the events of the evening, but the whole like being hit, walking off the field, coming back into the huddle, finishing practice, like I don't think I remembered any of that.
Did you end up going to the hospital getting checked out?
No, because at some point you make a commitment, this is foolish. I don't think people should do this.
Yeah, don't do
this.
Like
college ball.
Ask for help or to say, I think I might be injured. That was like you don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take you away from the game. And so yeah, I didn't.
What would it be? So I've often wondered what that would feel like as a 48-year-old man, what would happen to me if I got that same hit? Would I just explode or like break in three or
you wouldn't want to get up
for a long time. I would just go to bed right there on the field.
I feel like it would hurt more like the week after. Like you might be fine for like that day, and then you'd wake up just like
it just hurts all the time.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Well, I hope that never happens. Yeah. But there's part of me that kind of wants to know. I love football. I love watching football. Yeah. Sort of regulated violence, which there's some issues with that, of course. But like I've often wondered, what is that like?
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing us into that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
And you're also married.
Married.
How many years now? You and your wife.
So this will be 6. Just about 6.
Nice. And we will soon share a wedding anniversary.
Yeah,
which is really exciting
that's right.
too.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve weddings, they're a lot of fun. And then you guys have 3 kids and one on the
Yes.
way?
Yeah, exactly. So Michael's 5. Simeon is about to turn 4. Manny is about to turn 2. And then this new guy is coming sometime in January. So
Oh, that's so
another boy.
So
The
soon.
boys call him Pickles. I told him the other day we couldn't actually put that on his birth certificate. So we got to come up with another name. Simeon was pretty certain, Dad, his name can be Pickles. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It really could.
It really could be
Crazier
Pickles.
things have happened.
Yeah. So I'm all about, once the baby's born, what does he look like? Does the names, do any of the names that we've been thinking like actually fit?
Yeah.
So maybe he'll look like a Pickles. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, three boys, one on the way.
Yeah. So with this is, I'm just very curious as I'm getting married, like my prayer life, will change with like a spouse and especially 3 kids and one on the way. Like what does family prayer look like for you, and like what does prayer look like with you and your wife?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's ongoing. I'd say my encouragement for you as you get married and you'd hope to someday have children is just always be ready to navigate what's going to work and through what's not going to work. So I think, early days it was such a joy because we'd take our personal prayer at the same time. So we'd enter into worship together before our prayer, intercede, share some senses, pull open scriptures. That like doesn't even, it barely even happens anymore.
Yeah.
That we would get a time just by ourselves to do it. And I wish I'd emphasize that more now, but, and now it's like, hey, when are you going to take your prayer today? I'm going to take my prayer here. When are you going to take your prayer? Or really it's actually, what does our morning routine look like? And can we build our morning routine to have me leave the house having both had our personal prayer, or at least have a plan in place? Because if it doesn't happen in the morning, there's no plan. You can chalk it up. Because taking care of the kids is wild. So both of us praying at the same time, not a chance. So, okay, Maggie, go get ready for the day. Do whatever you need to do. Pray, come downstairs. I'll swap. I'll go upstairs. I'll get ready for the day, take some prayer, come back down, do the day. So that's like the personal prayer. And then, with little boys, holy buckets. Trying to get them to pray is wild. We can't even sometimes make it through a meal prayer without the 2 big guys like looking at each other the wrong way and fighting or whatever. So we really try to emphasize our family prayer is right after dinner. So we'll do dinner, do a little cleanup, get ready for bed, and then we'll try to worship we'll worship a song. And then we'll take some time to intercede. We'll sing the Song of Simeon, which is out of Luke. If you're not familiar with Saint Simeon, his words. So we sing that, and then Hail Mary, and then we're done. And it's a lot of times I try to keep going. The boys it's chaotic. We have some instruments for them to play along, but anyway, yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear. Like, no matter what, like you two making that like a priority each day, and like making sure that is like something that's like planned out.
Yeah,
in your days. That's really
totally. It's a need.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
You love gardening.
Yes.
I did not know that. I just heard this about you, and I'm really eager to hear where that came from and what you discovered about that. I love being outdoors. I love working with my hands, but I've been hearing there's something even more, kind of even deeper that's been stirring up in you.
Yeah.
Where did that come from, and how does that connect into your relationship with God?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'd say for starters, similar to what you said. So being a person who loves outdoors, love working with my hands. I don't have a lot of, it's not like I'm a great woodworker or like, house projects, anything like that necessarily. But, so on a natural level, like getting dirty in the garden, digging, whatever, harvesting, there's something about that that's good. But then just within the last couple of years, I read, so there's a book called Redeemer, by Steve Clark. And he talks about, and this is amazing. He talks about the original plan for Adam and Eve in the garden. So they were given like this little space. And I don't remember the exact words from Genesis, but they were given this place in the garden to take care of, which I had heard before. I'd heard that a long time ago. Adam, your goal is to, I think shamar, I think that's the term, to take care of the garden, to till the garden. But actually the goal for the Father wanted to give them all of creation. And the plan was for him to slowly teach Adam and Eve to restore all of creation. And so it's like our duty, so when I think about tilling the soil, I'm thinking about like restoring creation to order, out of the chaos. And there's something that's awesome about that, because I mean, in my heart, in my family's, my kids, I'm trying to bring order in the midst of their 5-year-old chaos. And so I love that. I love working hard. I love, again, just bringing order to chaos, even in the midst of vegetables and fruit and flowers.
What was
So cool.
Flowers too? Like
I still, Maggie is a great gardener. I'm trying. So, but some flowers.
What was good
That's
this
cool.
year though? Like
What
veggie-wise, or
grew well this year? Well, tomatoes, I mean, those are like money. I mean, those are, we just plant a ton of tomatoes, and the boys love being back there too, because they'll just pop them off. Especially the cherry tomatoes, are popping right off and start eating them. Or Manny would take the tomatoes and eat them like an apple, which is, some of the bigger ones. But so tomatoes grew really well this year. We tried corn. That was kind of fun. Some sweet corn, that grew well this year. Yeah.
So cool.
do your boys join you in that kind of, in that whole process?
Yeah, they're in and out. So we have a gate. So when we're doing something, so early on, if they can not like stomp on the plants, which it's kind of an inevitable, thing, but we're teaching them.
Do you mean accidentally? Or,
No,
or no,
both.
they'll be like, this is fun.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, like, oh, look at Mama Weed, and
Mama
the
plant.
Yeah,
All
yeah. They're
plants.
like, okay, no. So during the days, so when Maggie's out there, she'll often have the boys, and then nights and weekends during the summers, I'm out there too, and I love having at least Michael and Simeon with me, and they'll not do things perfectly, but it's great work to weed. I don't know if everybody, weeding a garden is hard work.
Yeah.
So to do that in the midst of a hot summer day, they don't like it, but it's great.
Wow, I love that.
So cool. Well, to jump back a little, so you are the Minnesota Development Officer, but before that, you were chapter leader at the University of Minnesota. So that one, you're on the field, you're with the students, you're with the missionaries. Your role now, is a little different in the office, relating with our donors, our supporters. How would you say that your job now is still on mission?
Well, I think probably the easiest way to look at it is like I'm helping allow the mission to happen. So we need people to be on campus, and it's really helpful that almost all of our missionaries fundraise, and we're all joined in this together. But to pay for a lot of our life, I mean, stuff's expensive. Retreats are expensive. Household expensive. Ascend conference expensive. All of these things. So on a practical level, I'm helping the mission happen. But I'd say even more so, there's like, wow, what a great opportunity to be a herald of the good news to these donors. I really believe that the Lord, well, I'd say first, the Lord will do anything, will take really extreme measures to get to a person's heart and to break into their life. And for some people, I really believe the way the Lord wants to encounter them more deeply is in their giving. And so I believe whether it's sharing the fruit of their investment, or whether it's encouraging them and inviting them, asking them to give more generously, radically, and through those invitations, and maybe it's through them praying through the process of, wow, I'm letting go of whatever, $100,000. Those are really weighty things. And so I think God works really, really powerfully in that. And I just think, I think even through the process of working with donors, my hope is just to receive them in their faith life, wherever they're at. It doesn't come up with every donor conversation, but I love when it does. The stories I get to hear about people's lives, these men and women, and there's a good number of folks who have adult kids, adult children, and a lot of, honestly, there's a good percentage of them who have left the faith. And so to be there in that moment to receive them and encourage them to not give up on their children, and for them to hold out hope, hold on to hope. So I just think from a lot of different angles, I get to be really in the mission still of bringing the good news to people, of allowing it to take place on campus, to be preached on campus. And so I'm just really grateful that in this new role, I have these great opportunities.
It seems like fruitful mission is rooted in prayer.
Yeah.
Can you give examples of what brought you to your knees in prayer when you were on mission, on campus, and the same or different kinds of things that brings you to your knees now in your role?
Oh man. I think anytime that I felt powerless, so this is what I'd say would be the same, which reality check is that everything we do that's good is the Lord. Everything we do is God's grace. That's good. It's never actually me. And so I think,
so implied there, then what is power? What is power? Is powerlessness a good thing, or is powerlessness a bad thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Powerlessness is it's a great thing. I mean, that's like the degree to which we can depend on the Lord, or the degree to which we realize our neediness, is the degree to which God can break in. He actually wants to. I mean, look at the Gospels. Jesus, there's a number of times where he wants to break in. He wants the Father to break in through the reflection of, would you be like little children? Let the children come to me. Because when a child, it's so much easier for our child to know their neediness. And me as a thick-skulled man, I mean, I don't want to be needy. I want to be the guy who has the answers, the guy who has the plan. And so being on campus, it was the times where I was really hitting my knees were the times where I said, God, you actually have to show up here. And maybe it's because we didn't have our stuff together, but sometimes even you kind of feel like you have the plans in place, but the Lord has to show up like a fan in a flame retreat. Lord, if you don't come in power on Saturday night during the prayer time when we're praying for the fullness of the Holy Spirit in these people's lives, then what are we doing? That's so I think this places of, God, I actually can't change people's hearts. You have to change them. And then from a development perspective, as I'm raising money, Lord, I can't convince this person that it's a good idea to give up $100,000, or 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 or whatever it is. I can have some encouragement, but even there, it's the Lord, and the Lord has to change the heart. And it's helpful to get to my knees and say, God, you have to do this because I can't.
Yeah, I love that you said powerlessness. And I think all of us feel like, oh, that's not something I want to feel.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
And yet it's a thoroughly Christian principle. to sort of embrace.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
I
awesome.
mean, I would just say one. So I think Saint Therese of Lisieux talked a lot about this, and Saint John of the Cross maybe a little bit too. That dependence, the image. One of the images, like the elevator,
Yeah.
where
Therese.
when we
Yeah.
when we realize that we are needy, and it's God who can scoop us up, almost like an elevator. I think elevators were just being invented at the time of Saint Therese, and so she was like, "What if in my life, the ways that I really need God, what if He could break in and just lift me up to Himself, like an elevator does, at this rich person's home?" And I think that image is really powerful. It's been a huge help for me, for sure.
That particular image?
Yeah, that image. Yeah, of the Father just lifting us up. This place of, Lord, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You actually have to do this. And all too often I'm trying to pull the reins back and do it myself, but it's not where He wants us to live.
What message, like if you could talk to, a group of college students or a group of young adults, and you had just a couple of minutes with them, and floor's open, like what, based on what you've experienced over these years in working with SPO and seeing kind of your life, be transformed, and you have this aim at living all of your life for the rest of your life for Jesus. What would you say?
I think as I look back on what was most impactful for me, and I kind of hold with me, is that I would never give up. I think there was, my last 10 plus years have been really messy. My college years, my SBO years. And
What do you mean by messy?
that's a good question, Ryan. I mean, relationally, there was working with men, being around women. I just know I hurt people. I think being a chapter leader for a number of years, and I didn't always make the right call, and I think that hurts. And I know because I have to reconcile with my wife all too often that of ways that I mess up, or I hurt her, or for the kids. I mean, this is the constant thing that I'm working through today is when stuff hits the fan at home, what comes out of me, and it's not love, and it's actually too often it's just unrighteous anger. I mean, there's a lesson for them to learn. So I think as I look at the last number of years, to not give up in those moments, because there are moments, just even this past weekend, when everybody in the house, maybe not my wife, but I and my boys were just really negative. And at some point it just, okay, I believe, Lord, that you can break into the negativity here, and to speak out that, and to pray for our family in that moment out loud so everybody could hear. So I just think there was an opportunity there to not doubt the Lord, that in the midst of this difficult place, I believe that God could break in and continue to move us forward. And in my own day-to-day things, like, God, I believe you can break in here and move us forward. And so I think when I look at my last 10 years, when I think about trying to give the Lord all of my life, every area of my life, that is a lot. And then to commit that I want to give it to Him for the rest of my life, that also that could be a long time. And so it's a daily work, and to never give up, and to know that the Lord, there's nothing that can separate us from the Lord in that process. And that's what I'd want people to hear, is to never be discouraged. I think I myself have been discouraged way too often over the last number of years. And I would want college students and other young adults to not give up and to know that the Lord's love is for them in that moment. He can break through. He wants to call them to himself. And he has joy and freedom for them. And so Romans 7, Romans 8, I encourage people to read that. And it just engage the lifelong process with joy, trusting the Lord.
Yeah, it's like, how do you give all of your life to Jesus? Just one day at a time.
Yeah.
Because that's really all we have.
1 minute at a time,
Right.
Yeah.
honestly.
Well,
Yeah, no, that's right. And I think that's really encouraging. And thanks, Derek. Thanks for going there. And,
Awesome.
we also want to keep getting to know you better as well. So we have a few hot seat questions for
Great.
you. You ready for that?
Let's go through 'em. Cool. Kicking it off, what is your favorite smell?
Anytime my wife makes a pie, oh man, probably apple pie when my wife makes an apple pie, but really any kind of pie she makes, that's amazing. Yeah.
Favorite condiment?
So I would encourage everybody to take a road trip to Atchison, Kansas.
Okay, let's go.
So Willie's is like, I think there's maybe, I don't know, a handful of places to eat in small Atchison, Kansas, but I served there for a while at Benedictine College, just north of Kansas City.
I thought you served at Willie's.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's where I had all my one-on-ones. So yeah.
They were served.
So, but their honey mustard with their sweet potato fries was the best honey mustard. No one can beat it.
No one.
So I can't, haven't come across.
A shout out. Is it a one?
Maybe they could send us some.
I mean, it's just a singular place. It's not a franchise.
I mean, I think they might have one in Manhattan, Kansas, where Kansas State is.
Okay.
But again, right next to the college.
Honey mustard.
Honey mustard. Oh,
At Willie's.
At Willie's.
In Atchison,
Kansas.
That's a very specific answer
That's so
to what's your
good.
favorite condiment.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
good.
can't get that stuff anymore right now, probably.
Yeah. No, I mean,
We'll ship it up.
yeah.
Fun. All right. If we opened your phone right now, what would be your most commonly used emoji?
I think maybe the nerd geeky face smile. The guy with like the glasses.
Like
I don't
the
even
two
know.
front
that.
teeth.
Yeah, the two front teeth. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think it's that one or the
Self-portrait.
the nervous smile or like kind of
Just like the wide teeth.
yeah, the really wide teeth. I wouldn't necessarily say nervous smile, but like, those
Yeah,
are
I think that makes
is
sense.
that
Yeah.
okay, so anyway, those are the two. Oh yeah.
Why are
that's
we
like,
throwing out the nerd emoji?
when
When I think of you,
yeah.
nerds, I love nerds rule. But anyway,
Yeah, I think gosh, I just love to try to be lighthearted about things. I think it's helpful in life. And so tacking on one of those two, it's helpful in conversation.
Kind of lightens the mood.
Yeah, lightens the mood. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's right.
dude, I love emojis. Give us your most, I'm talking most, irrational fear. Like, it just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense,
Yeah.
but I am deathly afraid of.
That all my rational fears would come true.
Oh, meta.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I think that's
Are you
that's the one.
Are you a fearful person?
I don't think so.
I am,
but
yeah.
having kids, that like changed it.
Mm.
So I'd say,
Oh wait, you became more fearful.
I became more fearful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think, on top of getting them to heaven, I just need, at this point, having little boys, the goal is to like, just keep them alive. I mean, they are, so I oftentimes will think of, I wouldn't say often, but the fears that I do have, I'm thinking about like, oh my goodness, what's gonna, choke on this food. They're going to knock each other out when they're wrestling.
Jump off
they're
the couch.
Yeah, right. I mean, which is already, that stuff's happening. Broken bones, it's already a thing. Running out in the street. Thank God the times that they run out in the street, happened to be no one driving past. But so anyway, I think those are somewhat rational. So thinking about the fact that all of those things are going to come true, that's the irrational.
Great.
It's the
answer.
irrational fear.
All right. And wrapping it up, if you could own any exotic pet, what kind would you own?
Alligator.
had that ready.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think.
How close have you ever been to an alligator?
Well, I've held a baby one.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that's probably not saying much. Yeah, like
And it would just like
handheld.
nibble on your
They,
fingers a little
yeah,
bit?
exactly. You get to feel what it's like.
Mhm.
I think if I had it, I'd have exotic. I mean, I'd love to be. I'd love more like the farmer life someday. Have a bunch of cows, horses. Those aren't exactly exotic. So if I'm thinking exotic, I'm thinking get a place down south that has huge property, big swamp. Throw some gators in there. And of course, if I had children at that point, and that'd be
Or neighbors.
yeah, right. Yeah, so I think
That would be a rational fear.
Yeah,
Kids
that's
and
right. Yeah,
alligators.
I love it. My oldest son had an 11-foot boa constrictor. It's the scariest thing that's ever been in my house, and there have been a lot of scary
my
things.
goodness.
And we later came to find out, like, we were like, and it was at the end of its life, and it ended up dying about 9 months of. I wasn't too sad. Okay, sorry, Lord, but
Yeah.
but we came to find out, like, we were really fortunate that it didn't strike out, or it wasn't more aggressive, because you just don't know.
An 11-foot boa.
11-foot boa. Everything that
How
you're
big was the cage?
6 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot.
Oh.
It was a massive cage, and
Yeah.
it was terrifying.
Did you sleep well during those?
I did. He
Nice.
he was overly confident. He later told me when we
The
after
snake or your son?
my son, my
Parcel
oldest son.
tongue. just
He,
little-
he was really confident with snakes, and he did do a good job with it. But I remember like debriefing with him afterwards, like when we went to go pick it up. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're taking this thing home. It barely fit into our big old van. Well, and I was like, did you make the right choice? Like, you said you were good. He's like, yeah, Dad, I'm not sure that was the right thing to do. Like, it was pretty scary. So, and I don't recommend it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Derek, it's been great to have you on the show. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining us
thanks.
today.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
it's
Really
awesome.
grateful.
I love it. I love it. We are here with the All My Life podcast. Hope that folks would check us out on YouTube and wherever you can find podcasts. Hit us up with a rating and review, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Derek.
Thank you.